All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Fans Union for the fans by the fans. Um, this episode a little bit lonelier. It's just me. I'm gonna give this a shot, kind of see how it goes. Could be the worst episode you watch. Without my lovely co-hosts who do such a great job week in and week out. Major shout out to them. Um, could be egregious, but I guess we're gonna see how valuable I really am tonight. So tonight I got my Walter Payton jersey on. There's something about Thanksgiving football to me. I know the Cowboys, the Lions play every Thanksgiving. I always think about the Bears for some reason. I can't really explain why. But neither here nor there. I love Thanksgiving football. We were talking about on our last episode, episode 20, college episode. Make sure y'all tune into that. Kind of about just how this week of football is so great. College football rivalry week is one of the best games, one of the best times of the year for me, especially. And upcoming, you know, Thanksgiving football it's so much a tradition to me, for me at least. It's turkey, dressing, stuffing, mac and cheese, whatever y'all eat. To me, it's that kind of tradition. I love it so much, and looking very forward to what we got this week. Got a pretty crazy slate. Going to look at some of those games. First, just want to kind of go through some of the games that we saw last week. Kicking off the week with Buffalo and Buffalo at Houston. Buffalo comes in a favorite, obviously. I mean, they're the Josh Allen MVP or reigning MVP led team. Not what I expected to see this week. Was what they gave us. So Houston ends up winning 23-19. Josh Allen is sacked 8 times. Yes, 8 times. Davis Mills had to throw 150 yards to win a game. Is pretty remarkable. I know they can't wait to get CJ Stroud back, see if he can finally get his rhythm going. But man, this defense is for real. Will Anderson, if you know, I think he's. Do I think he's going to win it? No, I think Miles Garrett's the runaway winner of the Defensive Player of the Year. But Will Anderson's making a very good candidate for that. I know we've talked about it. The Bills potentially missing that championship window. I think we're starting to dwindle towards that. Or I think they're just. I don't even think it needs to be a coaching change. You got to shake something up in the receiver room. Obviously you didn't make any moves at the trade deadline, whether that be because I doubt, from what I understand, they were on the phone all day. Brandon Bean, their GM, was on the phone all day trying to get stuff happen. But something is only as valuable as somebody would pay for it, right? So if you don't have anything people want to trade for, I mean, it's a moot point. What blew my mind is that, for one thing, Josh Allen. I know this is a great defense. Obviously, struggled against the Falcons too. Josh Allen, reigning MVP, seventh in interceptions this year. Clearly, and that could be again the receiving room, but I mean, he's not. I guess the Superman that we're used to seeing this year. With that being said, I mean, let me just make sure I got this right. Well, that's being said, they're still sitting 7-4. They're if the season ends today, they'd be in the playoffs. So who knows? They could get it turned around. I just, as all of us, we like to hyper exaggerate things. Um, but it's amazing because they have significantly more yards. Let me get the exact number pulled up here. If I remember that correctly. But they have okay, so not okay, it's not as much as I thought. They have 326 yards to 261. So you outgain them there. I mean, Josh Allen throws for 100 more yards than Davis Mills, who went 16-30 with 2 touchdowns at 153 yards, but 3 turnovers, 2 of them Josh Allen interceptions. Unless you're just the old, the Kansas City Chiefs of the past, or you just have some kind of explosive game, you're not going to win a lot of those. A lot of going for it on fourth down 5 times, pretty incredible. I mean, you have more time of possession, um, a little more penalties, but this team is quite obviously missing a receiver. And until they get that fixed, I think you're going to see some of these issues continue to pop up in Buffalo. But you look at Houston, I don't know what's going to happen with Indianapolis. And I know a lot of us before, my comrades, I think everybody but me picked the Texans to win. We obviously didn't see the Colts have that explosion. I picked Jacksonville, who right now, as it sits, would be in the playoffs. Are at 7-4. Texans are at 7-5. So who knows? But don't be surprised if we see some shakeup in the AFC South. I think it could get crazy in there. But yeah, I guess the summary of this game is Khalil Shakir being your number one receiver is just not going to be formidable for you winning a championship. Um, and Houston is one of the best defenses in the NFL. If they could get CJ Stroud back in motion, get things rolling, I think they really could make a playoff push this year. They're the first team outside of the hunt in the AFC, and there's a lot of season left. I know it's Thanksgiving, which kind of some symbolizes the end of the season because it's into college football, but really it's just the middle of the NFL season. So quite a bit more to go there, but we'll see how it progresses. So next game I want to get into is Pittsburgh at Chicago. So Aaron Rodgers hurt his wrist, not playing this game, and my God, did they need him? So Pittsburgh goes on to lose 31-28 at the hands of a 3 touchdown Caleb Williams performance. Again, something still with him. I mean, 3 touchdowns is 3 touchdowns, right? DJ Moore caught 2 of them. I think everybody kind of is under the notion, when you talk about Ben Johnson, the offense he had in Detroit that he was running, super smoothly, it was really due to Jared Goff being the quarterback that plays on rhythm, making those throws when he's supposed to, playing within the confines of the offense, right? Caleb Williams is such a talented freak, and he's never been the kind. He's like just a wild cowboy for I can't think of the right term. Maverick maybe is the term. He's just a wild card, but he will make some of the best throws you ever see running around doing a backflip off his back foot. It's monumental. I've got my notes right here, so if you look away, just know I'm kind of referencing that. Aaron Rodgers is out. Mason Rudolph, it's going to be hard to win a football game if you don't throw over 200 yards. Mason Rudolph, 24-31, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a bad game on the ground for Kenneth Gainwell, who went 92 yards on 10 carries, so almost 10 yards per carry. It's phenomenal at any stretch. But is it that time, Steelers fans? I don't know how you feel. If I have any Steelers fans who are watching this, is it the time to start having the conversation? Is it Mike Tomlin's time done? I mean, this is a division where you start off 4-2. Gift right there, okay? Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, 2 of the 4 best quarterbacks in the game, give or take, are gone for a lot of the season. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens, who won a Lamar Jacksonless game this past weekend versus New York Jets, they end up winning that game. You're out of the playoff hunt and you're out of the division. I mean, I'm looking here; they're at 6-5, so they had the same record but owned the tiebreaker. But you've got it when you have Aaron Rodgers. You added DK Metcalf. Obviously, you lost George Pickens, but got a very formidable receiver in that. You got to stump on their necks. Obviously, you hadn't had the best Aaron Rodgers this year. We know that, but it's at what point do we say we have to try something new? I mean, this is a team who boasts for they've had 3 coaches in the past 4 decades. Start with Chuck Noll during the Steel Curtain, mid '90s to mid 2000s with Bill Cowher, won 2 Super Bowls. Mike Tomlin, I think Bill Cowher's got 1 Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin's got 2. Is that correct? Let's pretend it's correct. Either way, got Super Bowls. Um, phenomenal players or phenomenal coaches. This guy won a playoff game in 10 years. I know he's never had a losing season, whatever. That could keep going this year. At this point, I don't know how they keep it. I think Tomlin to New York is a very likely situation, especially if they don't make the playoffs. But I think even if you go to the playoffs and don't win a game, um, Pittsburgh defense, and my thing just disappeared from me. Sorry about that. But I mean, Pittsburgh, you've got more first downs. You've got more, yeah, the same turnovers. You got more yards. You got less penalties. You play better on third down. You win the possession battle. You go 3 for 3. You've got to find a way to win that game. And this team, and obviously, again, I account for the fact they didn't have Aaron Rodgers, who seems like trending is going to be back towards next week. But yeah, And again, Chicago, nobody saw Chicago being 8-3 at this point. Now, again, it's kind of a fluky 8-3. I mean, just being honest, and I hate to say that because I mean, 8-3 in the NFL is 8-3 in the NFL, right? Every one of these teams is good, but when you kind of got the late game shenanigans they have going on, the Steelers are well coached enough to make this happen. But again, I do account for Rudolph being in the game, which Graham made the lovely joke at the beginning of the year about that. Um, Funny enough, Pittsburgh, though, been very good defensively in terms of rushing the passer. So really, I should just say in rushing the passer, they've been good. T.J. Watt just passed J.J. Watt in less time, I believe. For of course, J.J. Watt missed a lot of seasons with or a lot of games with sacks, but or excuse me, with injuries, pretty severe ones. But JJ Watt ends up being surpassed by his brother TJ. He made a joke about, all right, I gotta lace him up and go back and get my one back. But that's the only TJ's going anywhere with those. But it's just this defense is, they're third in passing yards allowed, fifth in total yards allowed. And when you have an offense that's just not very productive, very middle of the pack, very bottom of the pack, honestly, it's going to be tough for you to win games. So, I mean, let's just, we take a look at their schedule right here. Um, Pittsburgh, that is, because it's weird with like talking about Pittsburgh so much in this situation because Chicago's 8-3. We should be the one they're talking about, right? But it's kind of like, it's like the Cavs last year in the NBA. Yeah, you won 64 games, but we know where this is going to go. That's kind of how I feel about them. But you got the Bills next week. You got the Ravens after that. This is Steelers. You got Bills next week, Ravens after, um, then Dolphins, Lions, Browns, Ravens. So some a pretty tough little stretch there. Not being in the playoffs, very real possibility. So we'll have to see how that ends up turning out. But I think Pittsburgh has to start having that conversation internally. They may already be having that conversation. So we'll see how it goes from there. Take some of my water. Okay, thank you. All right. So another game we're gonna hit on Minnesota at Green Bay. Um, God, this the story of JJ McCarthy, right? I mean, this is a guy who we saw really struggle that first game of the year, against believe it was against Chicago. Pardon me for not being as well researched as I should have been. Yeah, it was against Chicago. Struggles the whole game and then has a masterful fourth quarter. Gets hurt against the Falcons, and has really been struggling to find his foot. Now, listen, my big thing with this, and if I didn't say it, let me just harp on it again. Green Bay wins 23-6. Uh, Houston doesn't, or excuse me, Minnesota doesn't score a touchdown. JJ McCarthy has a pretty, you just look at the box score, pretty abysmal game. 12 and 19, two picks, 87 yards. We talked about 100 yard or being under 200 yards going to be tough to win a game. You're next to impossible winning a game if you throw under 100. And I don't want to make this the bash JJ McCarthy show, right? Because me personally never was super high on him. I'm no talent evaluator, I guess you could say. Obviously, I'm here in my den doing this. But I was never too wowed by him. But also, this is a guy he missed his whole what should have been his rookie season because he was hurt. So he hasn't played many games. I mean, this is a guy who's played 4 or 5 games in his entire career, and it's impossible to make a judgment off of quarterback coming into the league that quickly, that young. It's just not fair. However, I think the biggest issue is when you've got arguably the best receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. You've got talent over the field. You got a phenomenal defense. The hometown hero, Jonathan Grenard, Dallas Turner emerging to a star, Van Ginkel. You've got one of the best, and I know he's been hurt, but Brian Flores, one of the best defensive minds in the game. And they play a good game. I mean, they allow. I mean, Green Bay doesn't even put up 200 yards, right? So this is a great defense, but I think the biggest issue that lies with the Vikings, they are in win now mode. JJ McCarthy as a rookie is not win now mode quarterback. I mean, you saw the difference, like we've talked about with Sam Darnold last year, who was a proven, a veteran, but last year was kind of like his, hey, I'm one of those guys. And a lot of people, as I've said on the show before, attributed it straight to, oh, this is McConnell. He's a quarterback whisperer. He's a genius, which I'm not discrediting any of that. But again, it's hard to be in the NFL by yourself or as any competitive team and just think you could throw anybody at quarterback. I don't want to say it's arrogant because I don't think McConnell thinks that way. I think that's more of a fan perspective, but you just can't, right? I mean, and you have 3 turnovers. You don't put up even 200 total yards of offense. Your quarterback can't even put up 100 yards of offense. And it's, I mean, Justin Jefferson visibly frustrated. I mean, this guy who just signed an extension a few years ago got paid a lot of money, and I think he's got 2 touchdowns this year. I mean, he had 4 catches for 48 yards. I know Grenard was hurt this past weekend too, so that, I mean, I know that plays a factor, but it's kind of like almost, I don't want to compare them because they were way better last year, but like, the Falcons, they're kind of having their struggles. So we're going to talk about in a little bit offensively the way they have with a phenomenal defense, but you're playing in a division. You're not playing in the NFC South if you're Minnesota, right? You're playing in the North, which is one of the toughest divisions in the sport. Last year had 3 teams make the playoffs. Very well could still be the case this year with Detroit. Like I think at the beginning of the season, I predicted 3 teams from this division to make the playoffs. No shot that I think it was going to be Minnesota who wasn't going to be in. That's pretty astronomical. But um, it's amazing because you got, what is it? You got 145 total yards for Minnesota. Total yards. Total yards. I want you to really think about that. 145 total yards in 4 quarters of football. Now we know about this Green Bay team, especially with the addition of Micah Parsons. I mean, Devontae Wyatt from Georgia played a phenomenal game. He was a wrecking ball the entire game. He kind of took over. They are so good at every level defensively, and so it's a tough match for that. But I mean, you give up again, you score 145 yards, turn the ball over 3 times, you're losing that. I don't even need to read the rest. But I mean, only 10 first downs as opposed to Green Bay 2022. I mean, it's impossible for them to establish their rhythm. 2 for 9 on third down. You're not beating many teams, and you get outpossessed 37-22 in terms of time of possession. This Green Bay team, who again didn't have a very pretty offensive outing. Jordan Love 14-21, 139 yards, no touchdowns. I mean, Christian Watson was their leading receiver, didn't even have 50 yards, right? Micah Parsons did have 2 sacks. Again, that's one of the biggest trades in NFL history, and guys, it's scary that they got this one, right? But this Minnesota team, I just think this offense is so poor. It's going to keep them out of contending, and I hate it because again, you know, someone I know, it's a local legend, if you will, from where I'm from. And Jonathan Grenard is on that team. Had a phenomenal year last year. I know he was out last week because of injury, but that's a team I really want to see do well. And I mean, I love Randy Moss. I love Vikings jerseys. I'd really like to go visit a game there one day. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's just brutal scene for the Viking faithful. So hopefully they can get it turned around. But with McCarthy leading the way, and again, I want to summarize it. I'm not saying JJ McCarthy's never going to be good, but when you're in win now mode and you've got a rookie quarterback and one that's playing like JJ McCarthy, who's arguably could be the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now, not an indictment upon his career, but right now it's probably him and Geno Smith at the bottom for who's the worst, right? So we'll have to see how it goes. Another one of the big games of the week going into it was Indianapolis at Kansas City, aka Witchcraft Land, because there's always some spooky stuff happening at Arrowhead, right? Well, this game especially. So the Colts jump out to a 14-3 lead early. I believe it was. I'm getting my notes out for that one. And then in the second half, I believe at the end of the third quarter, it's 20-9. Hey, this is, when I say A, I mean I don't mean like the A, I mean the letter A. A, when you're up that and you're this offensive force, arguably the best offense in the league, especially statistically, you got to find a way to win this game. I mean, this is a team, Kansas City team, whose offense hasn't been too productive all year. A lot of bad bounces have gotten their way. I mean, coming in this game, they're 5-5, right? Well, they're now 6-5 because they end up winning this game 23-20 in overtime. I want to get this. I was looking at it. I was kind of just doing some notes about this game. Um, First off, you want to talk about a discrepancy in first downs. And again, this is a team that's the Colts. This is a team that's leading in the third quarter. 10 first downs for the game. Typically not good, right? Kansas City, 33 3 first downs. They had over 3 times as many first downs. Um, and they also had Kansas City also had 2 turnovers, but like I said, they're that anomaly of teams that can get it done. But if you have 3 times the first downs as your opponent, 2 turnovers, may not do you too bad. 494 through the yard. So I'm just going to round it here. Kansas City basically doubled their offensive production. Patrick Mahomes had a big game in terms of yardage. Had threw a pick, but went 24-96, or excuse me, 29 of 46, 352 passing yards. So and I know there's a lot of short game incorporated with that. That's got him kind of finding his rhythm back. But again, this team, anytime that team is coached by Andy Reid, they've got Patrick Mahomes, they've got Travis Kelsey on there. You're going to have a bunch of people who know how to win and know how to scrap, uh, you know, make something out of nothing, if you will. Um, but let me get this pulled up right here. So it's the play by play for the game. This is where is this? Okay, so this is the fourth quarter. All right, so at this point, the start of the fourth quarter, Kansas City's driving. They It's 20-9 when the fourth quarter starts. Kansas City fumbles the ball. They get the ball back. Indianapolis does. 3 plays, punt. Kansas City touchdown. 3 plays, punt for Indianapolis. Kansas City punt, 3 plays. Punt for 3 I can't talk for some reason. Indianapolis, 3 plays, punt. Kansas City, 15 play, 87-yard drive, so almost the entire field. Could take him 5 minutes a clock. Field goal, tie the game. Next play, overtime starts. 3 and out for the Colts. Kansas City, 12 yards, game-winning field goal. So this is a team who had 29 lead, had a 22-9 lead, and ran 1, 2, 3, ran 12 plays in a quarter and overtime of football. And that time of possession is staggering. I mean, staggering. Kansas City possessed the ball for 42 minutes and Indianapolis for 25. Whatever the just round to whatever it is, right? So 42 minutes and 35 seconds of possession for the Chiefs, 25 minutes, 28 seconds of possession for the Colts. That's staggering. That is staggering. Colts also heavily penalized, 11 penalties, almost 100 yards. So just a not, I mean, and why does, I mean, there's so many things that I just think about when I think of this game is your best, Jonathan Taylor could arguably be the MVP in the league this year. Certainly could be in the running. And you don't like he just basically disappears in the second half. And Daniel Jones has been great this year against Kansas City. I'm not leaning on him to win that game. I'm leaning on the guy who has been one of the best players in the league this year, the best at his position, um, and Jonathan Taylor. But hey, I just in Indianapolis again. Are they kind of like that of that Cavs lineage, right? Of yeah, we see the record, but we know what this really is. And I mean, I'm looking at the remainder of their schedule. Got Houston next, then Jacksonville, 2 tough games in Seattle and San Francisco back to back, then Jacksonville and Houston again to end the season. So I mean, I don't know how this race in the South is going to be. It could get shaken up pretty extensively. I'm not sure, but we'll have to see. So on to the next game. Let me get my notes here. So sorry, I'm unprepared. How could we forget Philadelphia at Dallas? So this is one of the bigger games. It's something to me. I don't know what it is. I feel like the NFC East plays every week. I know they don't literally, but always feels like it's a night game. And every time I think of the NFC East, I personally think of Thanksgiving. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, right? Um, so Dallas, obviously, we've been hearing nothing all season but the offensive struggles for Jalen Hurts, and how he's holding the offense back. This team is living and dying by their defense. Blah 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 blah. That's all we've been hearing. And they come out against Dallas, rip off three straight touchdowns, take a 21-0 lead, and it's looking like, okay, this game's over, right? I mean, this was the chance for Philly to say, hey, this is who we are. Get ready to watch. We're going to show you who this offense is. AJ Green scores on that first drive. I mean, and then it just, really rips from there. But another funny thing, turnovers. First off, before we get there, Dak Prescott played a phenomenal game, had one pick, but 23 of 36, two tuds, 354 yards. And in this era, or this season especially, if you throw 300 yards, you're having a good game, let alone 354. George Pickens emerging. I still think CeeDee Lamb is the guy on that team as far as the receiving room is concerned. Pickens has been phenomenal this year. Every game, it feels like he's taken over. Had 9 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown in this game. And what it really comes down to is, I mean, just untimely turnovers. I mean, you look at it here. Like I said, Philadelphia rips off 3 straight touchdowns. Seems pretty commanding, but Philadelphia 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter, one being the kickoff and one being a Saquon Barkley fumble. The kickoff is the one that ended up tying up the game at the very end. And this team, again, we know kind of how poor their offense has been, unfortunately. But when your offense is, I mean, because they end up only putting up 339, they don't score a point after they go up 21-0, which is kind of what we've been seeing going on, right? I mean, Saquon Barkley has been a shell of himself. His offensive line has been a shell of himself compared to last year. I mean, Jalen Hurts is your leading receiver, or leading rusher, excuse me, with what he had 33 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, but I mean, that's just it's pathetic when you have Saquon Barkley. Honestly, not a super bad game from him. If you're just looking at the box score, AJ Brown had a good game, which thank God. He had 8 receptions, 110, 1 touchdown. Excuse me, 1 touchdown. But he's caught a lot of flack, AJ Brown, that is, for what he's been saying these past few weeks. And here we are talking about it. Now, granted, the defense had a 3 touchdown lead, but you don't score after it's going to be hard to beat a lot of teams if you don't score after the second quarter. And that's clearly what they did. So AJ Brown's point of, hey, we're winning. I like winning, but we can't keep pretending that this style of play that we have is sustainable and is going to be winning football going forward, because it's not. We can't keep relying on the defense. And this is an example of that. Now Philly defense obviously has been incredible all year. Big Fangio, maybe the best defensive coordinator in the league. And, could be him. Spagnola, Salah would be in that conversation as well. Shout out to Kobe Dean. I mean, I watched him absolutely just plow through a middle linebacker through, I believe it was Javonte Williams in pass pro, and gets a sack. It's what we used to call cradling, where you kind of take away both options from the running back and the quarterback, which is more on a read option kind of deal. But it was what we call a cradle. He tackled Javonte Williams and Dak Prescott. So it was really was impressed with his play. But yeah, there's 2 untimely turnovers at the end. You got Dak playing out of his mind this season. I think he's second or third in receiving or passing yards this year. So he's had a really good year. But I saw somebody say something that for the Eagles, take my water real quick. For the Eagles, this loss could take them one of 2 ways. It's going to rally them together and unify the season, or it's going to totally collapse. Because this has been, and I remember Philadelphia when I was a kid, not as vividly as I remember this, obviously, and can understand it. But I remember the mishaps with T.O. and McNabb and how bad that was. T.O. doing the sit-ups in his front or in his driveway. I don't think it's there yet. But this team has been in the spotlight of dysfunction the entire season. It seems like there's always a problem, no matter what it is, and something's got to get figured out, right? It's time to figure that out, because obviously, I mean, if you look at the playoff hunt here, I'm pretty sure they're the number 1 team in the NFC, or number 2 behind the Rams, sitting at 8-3. Obviously, mathematically, this team is, and not to mention the Giants. in that division are the only team who is officially out of playoff contention, which is pretty impressive. But especially with that disaster. Commanders are 3-8. They're not making the playoffs. They are listed with a less than 1% chance of doing so. And you've got the Cowboys, who are 2 spots out of. They are the, if you will, the 10th seed, and this there's 7 teams in each division or each conference that make the playoffs. So going to be tough for any other team to make a division. So you're pretty safe in making the playoffs. But I totally see what they are saying, what people are making the deal about. Hey, this could be the make or break, especially with the personalities, frustration we've seen on this team. But yeah, so I mean that ends up happening. Brendan, all that we discussed happens. Brandon Aubrey, Mr. Automatic, kicks a walk-off field goal. Um, Philadelphia falls. I mean, Dak has a pretty. From when I was listening, I can't remember exactly what the record was, but Dak's got a really good record against the Eagles. And again, Dak's. I know you saw Draymond Green call him a bum. Dak is nowhere near a bum by any stretch of the imagination. He's a fantastic quarterback, and he's really reaping the benefits of it this year. I mean, him having CD Lamb and George Pickens is seems like a cheat code. I think if they have Micah this year, now granted, you add Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark on the defensive line, you're going to get better. But losing Micah Parsons, that sucked. I think with him on the edge, you could have. I mean, you could possibly be a division factor if you're Dallas, but it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the season shakes up for them because they definitely could make a playoff push. Especially if Brock Purdy plays like he did last night. Or you'll be seeing this on Wednesday, but if he plays like he does, it's San Francisco could fall out of that 7 spot. Who knows? It could get scary, but neither here nor there. So we'll see how that unfolds. But we're going to move on to. I've been waiting away this all year. The Saints, excuse me, the Aints hosted my Atlanta Falcons, and Kirko Chains ends the 5-game losing streak for my Falcons. So rise up. Waiting to wait that. It's been five 5 weeks since we've had to do that. With that, when we talked about it on our last episode, let me tell you as a fan, the season could be going poorly. I'm going to be happy about every win. I don't care. I just want my team to win games, right? That's all I really care about. And the Falcons beat enemy number 1, the New Orleans Aints. Defense had a dominant, incredible showing. They don't give up a single touchdown. The one score, or they gave up a field goal, but the touchdown came from a pick six that was off the hands of Kyle Pitts and returned for a touchdown, which was frustrating. Something that's kind of been a sentiment for Kyle Pitts all but his first year, really. But Falcons have 3 sacks, so bring down Tyler Shuck, which if you're a defense as talented as the Falcons and as good of a coordinator as Ulbrich is Jeff Ulbrich, new Falcons defensive coordinator, has turned into, as well as Raheem Morris. Obviously, I know he has the coaching shortcomings, the head coaching shortcomings, but he knows what he's doing calling a defense. He did so many years with the Rams as their play caller on defense. Falcons are 3rd in the league in sacks, and this is a team who was second to last season. So that investment of going to get Walker, going to get Pierce, who have a very good game as well. They're 1st and 2nd in the league in terms of rookie sacks. So clearly that was an investment worth it. And let me get everything pulled up. And Falcons have over double the penalties. 9 penalties for 82 yards. Saints only 4 penalties for 36. But Saints have 2 turnovers. If you look at it, it's kind of crazy because Falcons only outgained the Saints by 9 yards. Saints have 8 more first downs. They have more third down conversions. And they win the possession battle. But turnovers, and you got to score the ball, right? I mean, ultimately, if you don't put the ball in the end zone, it's going to be tough to win any game. Kirk Cousins, his one pick right off the hands of Kyle Pitts shouldn't have happened, but he goes 16 of 32, 2 touchdowns. And while I've had my reservations about Kirk, it's amazing to see the professional that he is because I mean, he's wanted to go somewhere where he's a starter. He made that very known, and he still stuck it out. Came in here, played winning football, which I don't know if this game wins you against anybody but the Saints or anybody of that low tier who is, one of the worst teams in the league. But it's a win. Darnell Mooney catches a touchdown. He has 3 receptions for 74 yards, has leading touchdown man, or excuse me, leading receiving player on the day. Receiving player. That sounds so nerdy. Leading receiver of the day. Bijan, 70 yards, and he also has a big game through the air. So his versatility through the air has been, what's really propelled this offense, and an offense that has really struggled to pass the ball all year and really still didn't look great today. But ultimately, kind of the dagger on the game is the fourth quarter touchdown to, or was it? Yeah, fourth quarter touchdown, Darnell Mooney. That's the one that kind of ices it. And from there, the Falcons continue to dominate. Brendan Dorless had a big game, 1.5, so basically 2 sacks. Um, and again, this we were talking about on our college episode, rivalry week. You always want to see your team get a win. This team right here, the Saints, I don't want to see them win rock, paper, scissors. I don't want to see them win a dice game. I don't want to see them win Uno, Monopoly, nothing. I don't want to see them win anything. So when they lose, it's always going to be a good day, and I'm going to celebrate it. Falcons play the Jets this week, so who knows? I mean, with that in that quarterback room they have, would love to think that they can win 2 games in a row, but the Falcons being winning last weekend and now beating the Jets, get some things. The benefit they have, and as a team we're about to talk about here in a second, is the fact that they play in the NFC South. Because I mean, if the I believe if the Bucks lose like they did, and the Panthers end up winning last night, the Panthers somehow miraculously are leading the division. And this is a Tampa team who I guess we can go ahead and transition into. Um, Tampa had a commanding. They were 5-1, 6-1 at the beginning of the year. And as much as I hate the Bucks, you've got to acknowledge that. I mean, sometimes you can only do so much with injuries. I mean, when you have, Baker got hurt last night, or I guess it's Sunday night. So Baker got hurt. Teddy Bridgewater had to come in. Didn't play too stout, but by the time he was in, I mean, the game's over, right? But Mike Evans has been in and out the whole year. Chris Godwin's been in and out. Bucky Irving hadn't been back in weeks. So eventually, offensive lines beat up. There's so many holes to fill there that it's just not going to be sustainable going throughout the season, right? And they're unfortunately choking away their division. And I don't know how serious the Baker injury is going to end up being, but this is a team that's 6-5 and you look going forward. I'm just going to pull their schedule up real quick. So they lose this past week in LA, who LA is, I want to talk about them in a second, probably the best team in the league. You got the Cardinals, Saints. So really honestly, not a gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, you've got the Cardinals left, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. I mean, that's as good of a schedule as you can ask for if you're Tampa Bay. But again, injuries are injuries, and I don't know how sustainable it is for them to continue to lead the division. It seems like they're going to run away with it, but we'll have to see how these injuries play out. But I think really the story of this game is this Rams team. I don't think a team has looked better this year than the Rams looked in this game. The Rams move on to 9-2 and win at 34-7. They don't score a point, or they don't score anything but a field goal in the second half. But when you're up 31-0, or excuse me, 31-7 at the half, a lot's going to go right for you. Especially when you got somebody who's playing out of his mind like Stafford, who has another brilliant game. 273 through the air, 25 at 35, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Adams catching 2 of those. Those two being together is such a cheat code. I mean, I view kind of Devontae Adams how I view Justin Jefferson, just an absolute technician, a guy who's going to pick you apart running routes and knows exactly where to be. And he's got one of the most talented arms of all time throwing to him. A guy in Matt Stafford who is arguably having his best season ever, almost 20 years in his career. It's unreal what he's been doing. Um, but this team just does everything right. I mean, they're defensively, they're suffocating. They got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, but this offense led by obviously McVay. Oh yeah, and they got a guy named Puka Nakua. I'm not sure if you heard of him. He actually was a leading receiver in terms of yards. 7 receptions, 97 yards. this team's clicking on all cylinders. If they keep this going, I mean, they beat Seattle last week, kind of showing, hey, we can win games defensively. And then you got this week where they say, hey, our offense is going to lead us to victory. And they exploded in that first half. I mean, they were unstoppable. That Tampa could not do anything. And I think if Tampa doesn't have these injuries, we could get a little bit better of a ball game. God, I just saw the it's show Devontae Adams catching and running the tunnel. They might as well have because that game was over, right? But the Rams, I want to pull up some stuff about them real quick. So they have the best record in the league right now at 9-2. But I just want to look at some of their. So Matt Stafford actually probably leading the MVP race right now. He's been lights out. 30 interceptions, or excuse me, 30 touchdowns right now. 2 interceptions. That's like Aaron Rodgers that year. He threw 48 tuds and 5 picks. I mean, he's on that pantheon right now. But I just want to look at some numbers real quick when it comes to this. Um, excuse me, take another sip of water. When it comes to this Rams team, who in terms of offense, la 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 la. Okay, the NFL side is kind of goofy when it comes to this. I see. Um, Fourth in the league in scoring. Matt Stafford, fifth in the league in reception or in receiving it. I cannot talk today. Passing yards, leading NFL MVP getter right now. And if he won MVP, what a victory! I mean, this is a guy who spent all those years before Detroit was a factor again in torment, essentially. And he's having quite the revival that I don't know if I ever foresaw, but I'm glad I'm seeing. I think there's a pretty significant gap this year in terms of quarterback play. Him and the next best guy. I know Drake May's been fantastic this year too. I think they're kind of in a class of their own when it comes to performance this year. But man, I really think this Rams team and a guy I listen to all the time on XM, Adam Shine, fantastic show. He's been saying the whole year that he thinks he predicted the Rams to go to the Super Bowl, and obviously they had some kind of shaky games up first. They lose the fluky game to Philly on the block, 2 block field goals in a game. One Jordan Davis ices it with a return touchdown. But God, this team is good, and I think this team is going to win the Super Bowl at this rate. Phenomenal defense, elite offense, elite coaching. I mean, probably the first or second best coach in the league, depending what you want to say. It's between him or Andy Reid in Kansas City. So, but want to look at some of these games real quick. Pick some this week. Obviously, Thursday football, guys. Thursday, when you're getting your food, sit down. Let's watch some football. Got a lot of good games on. Kicking it off. Oh, this game right here is Thanksgiving. It's Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit's a 2.5 point favorite. They played at the beginning of the year. Green Bay absolutely dismantled them. They couldn't do anything offensively. I don't know if that happens this week. I'm going to take Detroit to win this game. They got a lot riding, and I don't know how. I think you got to play perfectly defensively to win a game. If Jordan Love's going to keep playing this way, been horrible this year. I mean, just call it what it is. He has not been playing well. I know they're winning, but I don't know how sustainable that is. So I'm going to take Detroit. Then we got. I think this game I'm about to bring up right here. This could be the most viewed Thanksgiving game ever. We'll check the the Nielsen ratings next week, but we've got Kansas City at Dallas in Jerry World, probably the 2 most popular teams in the NFL right now. Dallas always going to hold that distinction, but Kansas City been kind of the premier team these past few years. Kansas City's a 3.5 point favorite on the road. I think this Dallas offense, really this Dallas team, I think they want playoffs. They're 5-5-1, sitting right, not too far. A lot can happen if they win football games. They can put themselves in a position to win. I think Dallas ends up winning this game. Kansas City again, 3.5 point favorite, but they've had kind of again, they know how to win. I understand that. I know that they're going to find ways to win games in Kansas City, but not this week. I got Dallas keeping it going. Then the final game of the night at 8:20, we got Cincinnati at Baltimore. Cincinnati getting Joe Burrow back for the first time this year. I am a Joe Burrow fanboy. Joe Burrow, if you see this, I don't know how in the world you did, but I love you. I think you're fantastic. I'm glad to see you. I don't know if I guess look. I'm assuming Lamar is going to be back this week, and especially since they're a 7 and a touchdown favorite. Tyler Huntley played last week, but was not necessary to beat the Jets. Which I mean, um, so who knows there? But it looks like Lamar's toe is good per ESPN, so he should be available. Assuming so, uh, I really think the Bengals have an energy about them this week. Getting Joe Burrow back, Jamar Chase back after the spit incident, who he sent an apology to everyone but Jalen Ramsey, which is fantastic. Um, Not because it's good for. I don't think he. I don't hate Jalen Ramsey or anything, but I think it's just funny that it happened that way. That you apologize to everybody but the person you disrespected. Um, but yeah, I think there's some juice there this week. Those two, obviously, Chase and Burrow were monsters at LSU. They took that right to the pro with their chemistry and have been probably the best receiver quarterback duo in the league, arguably. Uh, you probably say Nakua and Stafford are above that. But either way, those two, I think, are going to electrify this team, and they're going to end up beating Baltimore. Friday, we got Chicago at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is touchdown favorite, 7 points on the dot. It's in Philly. I think this is when you're gonna when you're gonna see the Cavalier come out in Chicago, and I think Philly dominates this one. Honestly, I think they get that mojo back, like we were talking about earlier. It's gonna rally the team. That Dallas was gonna rally the team, or is gonna bring this team together. I think it brings it together this week. Well, I tell you what, you really got to ice it out when you're talking for 45 straight minutes. Ooh, this is a little brutal. All right, so on to Sunday's games. Houston at Indianapolis. Indianapolis 4.5 point favorite. I think Houston pulls it off. I think that defense is going to swarm this Indianapolis team who's kind of struggling. Hey, what are we after last week? Let's get things figured out. I don't think they get it figured out this week. I think Houston ends up walking away with that one. Falcons at Jets. Falcons are 2.5 point favorite. Not been very good on the road at all this year, but just got their first road win against New Orleans, playing another team that's probably as bad in the Jets. Horrible quarterback play all year. I'm going to go Atlanta in this one. Rise up, baby. And then we've got the Rams at the Panthers. Rams a 10.5 point favorite. This Panthers team knows it's playing for the playoffs, and with how poor the NFC South is, you have it right there where you could get in. But they're playing the best team in football. The best team in football is gonna roll. Give me the Rams. Next game, we've got the Sam Darnold. Haha, you guys shouldn't have left me. Now watch this game. That's what I'm going to call this one because Minnesota heading to Seattle. Seattle 10.5 point favorite. Again, this has been a really underwhelming team in Minnesota, but Seattle is another team that could be possibly a top five. I mean, the NFC West has been unbelievable this year, and I think that the uh, Seahawks are going to keep that rolling again. A two possession favorite. I think that's very fair. Buffalo at Pittsburgh this weekend, 4:30. Buffalo 3.5 point favorite. This is the one, like both teams are at a crossroads. Hey, what are we gonna do? But I think Cincinnati, or excuse me, I said Cincinnati again. I clearly I can't talk if you've watched any any part of this episode. Um, I think Buffalo ends up winning this game, and Mike Tomlin, what are we doing with you in the end of the season? Conversation goes from a hot seat to absolutely inferno. It's going to be red hot this weekend. And then after that, we're gonna. Well, not really talking about with the Denver Washington game. Denver 6.5 point favorite. Bo Nix has been pretty poor lately, but nothing has been really as poor as what the Washington offense has been this year. Without Jaden Daniels, just a lot of injuries around the board, and I think Denver's going to find a way to win that one and extend their AFC West lead there. And then we're going to cap it off Monday night. New York at New England. New England 7.5 point favorite against the Giants, and I think they're going to win by more than that and roll. This Giants team is falling apart. They just fired their interim head coach. So it's so many questions to be answered there, but clearly vibes not very good in New York. The New York Football Giants, and everything is great in New England. Defense is rolling. Christian Gonzalez emerged kind of a star this year. Drake London, Drake May definitely emerges as a star this year. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen this weekend. So that's going to be it for us, guys. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, this is my first solo solo run at it, so I know it may have been a little brutal to realize how much my co-hosts really cover me or carry me in this game. I love them dearly and appreciate them, but who knows? Could have some more of these coming. So hopefully they just keep getting better. But anyways, appreciate you guys. Hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you as always for tuning in. We're going to get out of here. Peace.